Welcome to our new series about the gates in the human design system. Today, we're going to talk about the gate 63, which is known as doubt in traditional human design or curiosity in quantum human design. You can tell there's a lot for us to explore with this one. So please do enjoy these clips from my transit reports over the last 4 years. And that's going to take you much more deeply into understanding this gate than you would get just from reading a description in a book. And if you like the video, please do give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe, turn on your notifications, leave a comment. I'd always love to hear from you. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. The gate 63 is the beginning of the logic circuit or the understanding circuit or the pattern circuit. And it's known as doubt in traditional human design, which is a pretty negative kind of energy, right? I doubt it. Prove it to me. You know, it's that kind of an energy, right? It's kind of dismissive and or undermining. Like if you're always doubting yourself or you're doubting information that you get or you're doubting the sources that you get, right? That can be pretty disempowering to be in a state of doubt. I did a reading for a woman not too long ago where she said, "Oh God, I'm constantly doubting myself," right? And so we did a lot of coaching around that about what you could do instead. So what you can do instead, if you find that you have been subjected to the tyranny of doubt, is to instead turn it into curiosity, right? It's like, I wonder about this. You're not necessarily immediately seeking answers, which is the mate of the 63, which is answers or possibility. You're not necessarily going there right there immediately. You're just trying to open things up, right? Because after all, this is the beginning, right, of that circuit. So you want to be open and allow in the insights that are going to come in. And if you're there doubting, going, I don't know. I don't believe this insight. I don't believe this download again I'm getting. I don't believe this intuition, right? Do you see how like closed in that is if you're like in that state of doubt? Whereas if you're like, I'm curious about that. I'm curious about what, this information that's coming in for me. I'm curious about this situation that I'm seeing in the world. I'm curious about this person. I'm curious about this thing that's happening inside of me, right? You open up to curiosity. That's a really empowering kind of attitude to have with that left brain, because unfortunately, too much of the time we have been really conditioned into, I would consider a kind of shadow aspect of the 63 and also just of the logic circuit in general, where we tend to use logic, reason, analysis, data, strategy to kind of discard and undermine things, like if it doesn't adhere to the scientific method, right? The Western scientific method, because there's many different kinds of scientific methods, as it turns out. If it doesn't adhere to that, and if we can't prove it, and if we can't replicate it, and if we can't say where we got it from, well, then I doubt it. Right. And then we dismiss it. That is just so incredibly limiting, because the truth is that there's so many things we don't know about. Right. I mean, even with all of our study, even with all of our tracking, even with all of our incredible science, there's just so many things that we can't understand looking at it in that way. And so we want to be able to release ourselves from left brain dominance. If you've been following me for a while, you've heard me talk about this, which is left brain dominance can really just kind of shut us down. And it can also send us into a really unregulated nervous system. It can make us into a fight or flight kind of energy pattern. And we don't want to live that way, right? It's stressful. Plus, it's just completely unnecessary and it's inaccurate. So what we want to do is we want to be able to have that left brain energy in curiosity, in possibility, right? Because all good science begins with curiosity about something that's happening in the natural world, the living world, right? We're like, wow, why is that like that? Right? How can we work with that? It doesn't start from being, I doubt that, It's like, no, it starts from curiosity. Curiosity is a huge superpower for us and a huge ally for us as we look around what's happening, in the collective, in the outer world and in the natural world. And so we want to be able to foster that curiosity, and the curiosity will be supported and fueled by this ability to actually tap into this other form of intelligence that we have that comes through the right brain. brain. Now, we also can use our ability to focus on certain things. And so there can be a kind of paradoxical dynamic that can be quite pleasurable and beneficial, provided that we don't allow the energy of the left brain to beat up on the energy of the right brain, which is what a lot of people fall into, right? Is like, you get feelings and hunches and creative ideas and information that comes in. And then, your left brain is going, I doubt that. Like, prove it to me. Show me. Like, where's your evidence? Where are the studies? Where did you learn that? And the right brain's going, I don't know. I just received it and I know it and I can feel it and I'm expressing it and I'm creating it, right? This can happen. Mm-hmm. Because the question that arises during this transit is, how do you know what you know? Right? Because the right brain thinks one thing, the left brain thinks another thing about how do we know what we know. So that's a big question that's going to be up for us. But if we can stay in curiosity and we can be like, where's possibility? Because the head's all about possibilities. It's about potentials. It's not about answering questions. It's more about asking questions. And so if you find yourself kind of trying to, answer questions, trying to fit things into boxes, trying to be more linear and analytical to make things make sense, I invite you to kind of step out of that and open up into a bigger state of curiosity and possibility and potentials, and to be curious instead. And I think if you do that, you will find that right brain energy is happy to dance with your curiosity. Right? It's like, try experiencing this, try feeling this, try creating this. Can you be curious about all these other things? And if you start to feel a little stagnant in your creativity, for example, then you can use curiosity as your ally to kind of break you out of that, because sometimes we can get stagnant in our creativity because we think we're supposed to already know what we're going to create before we create it, which is not true. I would say 99.9% of the time, we don't know. That's part of, because it's creative, right? So we're creating something new, and we might have a place to start, or we might have an inkling about it, but we're not necessarily, know exactly all the different things. That's way more left brain energy, right? Planning, strategizing, and all of that. If we can use our curiosity to kind of break apart our potential way that we have put our creativity into a box and allow ourselves to even be a little bit outrageous, we might be able to free each other in a really beautiful, exciting